OneSteel has confirmed the future of its steelworks at Whyalla in South Australia is still on the line. While the company hasn't set a deadline for closure, it's made it clear the clock is well and truly ticking for a plant that's losing large amounts of money in a very tough global steel market. Andrew Robertson reports.
The Australian steel industry is in the doldrums. The high dollar and weak global demand are decimating exports, with BlueScope Steel already closing a blast furnace at its Port Kembla site south of Sydney. OneSteel has its Whyalla plant in South Australia under the microscope after a loss-making performance it's described as disappointing and unacceptable.
The real issue is, do we believe that we can have the business return to generating cash in an acceptable time frame?
Mr Plummer denied a newspaper report that he's virtually set the date to close Whyalla, but he does admit the plant doesn't have long to get its act together.
They actually, quoted me reasonably, which was talked about demonstrating progress over the coming year or so. So what we need to be seeing is be confident that we're getting sufficient progress over the coming year or so.
Mr Plummer was speaking after OneSteel's annual general meeting in Sydney, where his chairman Peter Smedley told shareholders the short-term outlook for the steel industry remains challenging. An indication may be that the performance of the Whyalla steelworks may not meaningfully improve in the time frame the company has set. OneSteel's share price has fallen more than 60% this year, and concern was expressed at the AGM about debt-funded acquisitions which see the company carrying $2 billion in debt. There's also $2.5 billion of goodwill, a premium the company has paid on the physical value of acquisitions.
It's always mysterious, and it's always a trouble, because is it really worth that?
OneSteel insists its gearing level of 40% is low, but Jeff Plummer concedes the high level of goodwill is not ideal.
At the moment we have a number of our business segments that are clearly underperforming and providing unacceptable results. So that's a concern that's certainly held by management and the board. It's not just the shareholders that have that concern, and that's what we're focused on trying to address.
I guess you couldn't give any guarantees that that goodwill won't be written down at some time in the future.
I guess most people, certainly I learnt in the GFC, you never say never to anything.
There was a victory for the board at the annual general meeting. Last year there was a 42% vote against the remuneration report. After extensive consultation with shareholders, only 4% of votes were against this year's report.